Just going to have a chat to two old friends, or two young friends, I should say, of Installer. And last year we started a conversation and a debate about the subject of biofuels, and just thought we'd do a little bit of a catch-up 9 months on with Paul and Sophia. So just tell us who you are and where you come from and what you do.
So I'm Sophia. I'm Director of Public Affairs at Liquid Gas UK, the trade association for the LPG and bioLPG industry.
Brilliant, thank you.
I'm Paul Williams. I'm a plumbing and heating engineer from South Wales.
Perfect. Now, I'm going to ask you both to hold the microphones nice and close so we can hear you really well. And just for the benefit of those people who weren't there, perhaps people who are coming across this the first time, what are biofuels?
So there are lots of different types of biofuels. The one that we're particularly interested in and passionate about is renewable liquid gases. So you can have things like bioLPG and also renewable DME. And they're solutions that can be used with your existing LPG infrastructure, but you're saving carbon emissions that are coming from renewable or bioenergy resources.
Lots about net zero and all sorts of things going on, all these initiatives, and we know it's difficult and so on. But what are the decarbonisation? What's the decarbonisation potential as far as we're talking here?
It's really significant. So actually, as the LPG industry, we have a 2040 vision that by 2040, as it suggests, we'll have 100% renewable solutions. And we're already making significant headway on that. So it's really great to be here today to be able to give you a little bit of an update.
Brilliant. I mean, we've got all these things going, 2040, 2050 on other things. I mean, it's trying to remember all these things is difficult. I know I won't see most of them anyway, but I mean, that's one of those things. Now, how many buildings in the UK are off the gas grid? Do we know that number?
Yeah, so we've got about 2 million homes off the gas grid and many more businesses as well. So it's a really big market that we need to crack.
Yeah.
And one of the things that part of our key messaging is that there needs to be a mixed technology approach to how we decarbonise these buildings. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay, so go on, talk more about that in terms of what that means exactly.
So I think that, you can't, and many people who are at the show today will know, you can't just place a kind of boxed approach onto homes or businesses, particularly off-grid as well. We've got such a big variety of different types of homes. The homes going back to being over 100 years old, maybe even older. We've got lots of different levels of energy efficiency. Homes have different needs depending on who's living there and what their energy demands are. And then as soon as we start getting into businesses, well, that's a whole other challenge of from things like hotels and bed and breakfasts through to retail units, through to industrial buildings.
So as you say, there's no one size fits all.
No one size fits all.
Everything is unique,
Mm-hmm.
really.
Yeah, definitely.
Paul, you're a lecturer. You're involved in this industry in a number of different ways, if you like. Since our last conversation in September, what have you noticed? What have you seen?
Well, the conversations I've had with customers, especially with efficiency, has grown dramatically. I would say 90 to 95% of my customers ask about it. They do have
Genuinely?
Yeah,
wow.
It's gone up that much.
Has that surprised you?
It's great to have a conversation with them,
Yeah.
but the concerns that I have and that they do have in rural England, not with Wales at the moment, but from 2025, we can't retrofit gas boilers. So it's coming in. While I think heat pumps and everything is great and technology is good, we still got to look at the heating system. But when you're dealing with elderly people who are in their 70s, 80s and 90s, they are concerned that they can't afford the new technology. And while liquid gas or natural gas is still available, it is a short-term answer, but it is a cost-effective answer.
And that's a really difficult equation, isn't it? Because cost is a big factor, particularly that age group. It's like, why do I want to invest that money at this time of my life?
Some people don't have the money.
Well, there is that as well.
They're on state pensions. You can't get a mortgage. They can't get a loan. So it's that massive grey area, do the pun there, but that is a concern for me and my customers.
And we were talking on an earlier panel, I don't know if you saw, about the fact that this autumn is going to come home to roost for a lot of people in terms of the cost of heating and so on and so forth. So it's going to become an even bigger issue than it currently is, I suspect.
It is a massive issue on the gas. The oil has shot up dramatically.
Yeah.
As an example on oil.
I was paying 63p a litre, right?
Yeah.
I'm now paying 92p a litre.
Yeah. It's 500 litres at 500 quid, more or less. So we've got that to deal with. But the systems that we have in people's houses is the most essential part. And that is what we need to approach in the right manner to make sure the heating systems run correctly. It's not just the boiler slapped in and gone. That is working better. And this is where we need, as installers, to actually raise our standard, my personal opinion.
Right. Sophia, you look as though you were going to jump in there to say something, were you?
I agree with everything that Paul said, and I think that as we look to the future, because the challenge that we're seeing at the moment is only going to continue, and we've still got the challenges with net zero ahead as well. So by taking that kind of mixed approach, as Paul said, not trying to force something onto something when it's not just quite right, just enables people to have something that's going to work for them and work most efficiently for them, and with that, get the cost savings that they want.
What about the government? Can we expect anything? Don't laugh. You see, that's immediate reaction. The government. Are we expecting any updates from the government on this? Where are we standing with them?
Well, the government like to keep the heating industry busy, don't they? So it keeps us all in a job.
I guess it's more. But,
so in terms of key decisions around this, we have some regulations which are currently being proposed and being consulted on. We expect a response to those later this year. There is a really big strategy called the biomass strategy that's going to be coming out, and that is really going to be setting the direction for biofuels. That's not just in the heating space, that's in transport and in other applications as well. So really big announcements are set to come from government this year, and I think as much pressure and kind of promotion that the heating industry can do to show that we don't want one-size-fits-all solutions in this place. It's not going to work for the market, it's not going to work for homes and businesses, the better, because now is the time to be shouting about it.
The other thing is, they should appreciate hybrid systems work, not just one funding on one. If you can get a hybrid system in, it may be more beneficial for the customer. So it's not, the costings can come in because the systems are absolutely brilliant like that.
Go on.
I was just going to say, I completely agree. I think hybrids are, to a certain extent, being a bit of a missed opportunity from government at the moment. I mean, the chair of the Committee on Climate Change, Lord Deben, said a couple of years ago that there was a really big risk that BEIS were being too purist about this and missing out on the opportunity of hybrids, because there was still going to be that small chance in the kind of interim stage they're going to be using a fossil fuel, whereas actually, hybrids provide a really good opportunity for some properties, and I think it is a big missed opportunity.
For the government, has it gone from more of being a right-on thing to do, but actually, are they sincere about what they're doing, and in terms of the end customer as well? Have they got the end customer in mind?
Well, I think, speaking candidly, there are some very big targets that are out there that have been set, well-meaning targets. The reason behind them
realistic?
Whether it's realistic or not is another sense. But also, as you say, what is best for the customer? And at the moment, in the off-grid regulation space, I don't think there's enough emphasis being put on actually what the rural household or the rural business, the rural family need.
Yeah, because I interviewed a CEO once on stage, and someone asked a question of him. He said, "Anybody got a question?" He said, "Yeah." You said we're empowered. What are we empowered to do? He said, "Well, whatever I tell you." So I mean, that's not empowerment. No, and I just wonder about how much the customer is at the heart, or at any stage of the equation.
Well, rural consumers, and I'm talking just about rural here because that's our kind of area of focus, but, consumers aren't really engaged. I mean, you can do a poll and ask people if they care about climate change, and everyone will come back saying yes, because everyone does. Well, most people do. Yeah. However, as you start getting into the nitty-gritty of things that need to happen and some of the deadlines that are in play, especially in rural areas, consumers just aren't really aware, and there's a really big risk. And as someone who lives in an off-grid area, I want to see people decarbonising in my village. Yeah. And my biggest concern is that we're going to have these really big ambitions that we currently have, and they'll just completely go against them, won't want to do it, and we'll just be exactly where we are, in 10 years' time, and we won't make any progress. And I personally don't want to see that.
Really, isn't it? Yeah, okay, Paul, go on.
Some of the meetings we've held and had with rural England and stuff like this, these are the concerns that they have associations are involved with. It's, yes, we want to do what's right for the world and the industry and everything, but it comes down to money and the coinage. And if people can't afford it, they can't afford it. They may live in a property
isn't it,
they may live in a property that they own, but they haven't got the money to upgrade it or anything like that. So it's that area that we need to assist and help with.
Question genuinely born out of ignorance: what happens if there is a change of government? Does the next government pick up the ball and run with it? Do they want to change it? That's a danger time for all of these initiatives, isn't it?
I don't think on the off-grid side that's particularly clear at the moment. I wouldn't want to speak too authoritatively on behalf of other areas, but I don't think that that's particularly clear. But to be honest, the main thing that we want to do is get cross-party consensus that, consumers should be able to pick what works for them out of a suite of low carbon solutions. Really, it shouldn't be that complicated in the grand scheme of things, but it is.
One of the things we touched on in September was the education of people, because that's the lack of knowledge, perhaps the fear, and so that job still needs to be done. So how does that happen?
Well, Paul, do you want to reflect on some of the stuff we've been doing together?
Well, we have. So we had a couple of meetings.
Are you?
That's for later.
It's some of the meetings we've had. I've tried putting across as an installer. We've got the low temperature heating coming in now, and that is going to be throughout the systems. So it's now educating the installer to do it correctly, and trying to educate the consumer to understand what low temperature heating means. Quick example, I had a customer last year, new gas boiler went in, and I balanced and altered the system correctly. First complaint, the radiators weren't warm enough, but all the radiators were warm. And I went, is the house warm or comfortable? And he went, it's more comfortable. So it's the small bits. I'm trying to do a research now on how much he was spending on gas last year and what is going to be what I call a full season, which is the winter season. And then we can get back with figures. So getting the consumer to understand when you touch the radiator, it's not going to be hot, it's going to be warm. So some of the courses I've done online, and that has educated me, and I'm quite happy to learn. So all the installers should actually get off and start understanding systems a lot better than what they are.
Okay, final question, if you like. What can rural installers do to make sure they're future-proofing their businesses? In terms of selecting the right low-carbon solutions for their customers. What do they need to do?
Go on training courses. First thing, understand the heating systems. Go on, there's low carbon training courses now available. There's quite a few organisations do them. Calculate the system that needs to go in. So if you are changing a radiator, prepare it ready for the changeover. It may keep it on the existing system, but if you know it's going to, in 5 years' time or less than that, we are going to go down to lower. Yes, do heat pump courses, do gas courses. Understand the system you want to put in, so it's better for the consumer.
Make it fit for purpose.
Fit for purpose. Educate and spend time speaking to the consumer about the controls you're putting in. Because that is the biggest fault. The plumbers will fit and not explain how the system works to a consumer. So they don't understand the heating system. So there are controls out there. The controlled market's gone tremendous over the last 5 years. So get to understand the controls that work right for the consumer, and it make it them easier to control.
Brilliant.
And all I'd add on to that is that I think that, in terms of more generic information or looking for more information around rural areas and decarbonisation, we've got lots of resources on our website. We've done some interviews and blogs together, and as a takeaway that we took away from our session back in 9 months ago, 12 months ago, we have put more content on our website, particularly for installers.
And that's brilliant to see.
That was your fault.
That was my fault. Well, yeah, but you know what? It's great. And so let me ask you the next question then. I'll invite you back for 12 months' time. What will you do over the next 12 months, do you think? What do you anticipate doing in that period of time?
Sounds good. Bring us back in 12 months.
No, but you've got to do something to do it. You've got to earn it.
Well, I suppose one of the things that we're doing at the moment, and Paul, you've been involved with this as a kind of installer rep, is, as I mentioned earlier on, we launched a 2040 vision a couple of years ago about what we are, what our ambition was to do as a sector. Since then, we've been working on a new pathway document that we're actually launching in July. And I think following on from that, there's going to be a lot more around renewables and renewable gas that we can do together. So I think that will be a good part of the discussion.
Brilliant. I'm going to hold you to that, and we'll discuss it then. But look, thank you so much, Sophia. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for the invite.
No, it's great. Great to have them here, an update. We will get another update from them in 12 months' time.